Hey, what's up, coaches? Dave Bishop here, RTDB 2023. We're on episode 4 talking about our multiple wing tee system. Thank you, coaches, for those of you that have sent emails and DMs this past few weeks questioning about our multiple wing tee system. One question I got just yesterday was, Coach, I'd like to hear about your formations. My response was pretty simple. Just wait. It's coming. And that is what we are working on today. We're going to talk to you about how do we get in and out of so many formations easily and quickly. Before we do that, what I want to do is remind you that Coach Christmas and I are available. And I'm not here always to sell things, but I'll tell you this. We're available for in-person clinics, consulting. We have our multiple audible wishbone offense as well as our multiple wing tee offense playbooks that have drills, cut-ups, etc. We've got clinic videos, drill videos, concept videos, and a lot more. Hey, use us as a resource. Text us, email us, DM us. Check us out on Twitter as well as Instagram, which I'm not very good at, to be quite honest with you. I am learning and something that takes a backseat, to be quite honest with you. So with that being said, let's dive into formations and rules. And what I want to do is make sure that you understand this. Guys, I can get into hundreds of formations, but everything's based out of three. Three formations is our starting point. Okay. And it took a long time for me to take some things that I saw from other coaches and develop it for our system for the wing tee. And when we did, it allowed us to get into different kind of sets. And let me just give you a quick example. So we're playing Roswell in a scrimmage several years ago. I think it was 2008. And we're in a pro trips. And so we throw a quick smoke route to the number one receiver, and the number two's the block the corner, but he doesn't get to block the corner because the corner comes flying up so hard and makes a play. Well, the next time we do it, rather than saying, hey, the slot needs to be number one and the number one needs to be number two, we have a system in our numbering system that allowed that to happen. And so what ended up happening is we ended up bringing the best kid in the slot, and so number one ran his little smoke route. The corner comes flying out. We do the little fox route behind him, 80-some-yard touchdown. But it wasn't a big deal because all we had to do was call a formation, and I just swapped those guys. So it's easy to get your playmakers where you want to get them. So let's talk a little bit about our formations and rules in our system. Well, first off, you need to understand everything is based off of the following three. I'm going to go with the ones that begin with R: Rip, Ray, and Rocks. Okay? Rip, Ray, and Rock. Now, the opposites are Liz, Larry, and Lex. And everything that we run, regardless of whether we're empty, whatever you want to call it, is based off of those three things and their opposite. So let's look at our first rule that you guys see up there, and it talks about the why. And it says the Y tells the lineup to the call. So essentially, the tight end is always going away from the call. If it begins with an R, that means right. L begins and means left. And so the tight end will always line up opposite unless he hears the word Rip or Liz. And that's when he goes to the call side. Okay. Ray and Larry tell the X to line up to the call, and the Y line up in a Y position. So Rip, let's look at the Y. Let's look at the Y rules. Okay. Again, now the Y rules. If it begins with an R, you go L unless it is Rip or Liz. Okay. Or Rip, since we said right. For the X, you are always play side. So you're always to the ball, R or L, unless it is Rip and Liz. Okay. So Y always lines up away unless it's Rip and Liz. X split out always lines up to unless it is Rip or Liz. Now, the words Ray and Larry end in the letter Y. The reason why we have the letter Y in there is because the tight end's number or letter, not number, pretty stupid, but their letter is Y. So we're talking to him. So when we give the formation Ray, he lines up opposite. but he lines up as a tight end, hence the letter Y. Okay. And then I can also do what we call rocks and lex. All right. So rocks tells the X to line up to the call because it begins with an R. The word rocks ends in the letter X is a wide out. So therefore, what we're telling the Y to do is split out. Okay. And you'll see these things a little bit longer and a little bit later as I go through them. So again, pretty simple. Now, one of the things that we like to do is I like to have a right halfback and a left halfback. If you don't do that, you can have a halfback and a Z. And some years I've had to have a halfback and a Z. Most years I like to have a right and a left halfback. So the formation that begins with R is a Q. So if you hear rip, regardless of what it is talking to the right halfback. It's telling him he is not going to be in the backfield. He's going to be somewhere other than the backfield. So if you hear the word rip wing, he's going to line up as a wing. Okay. If you hear the word ray, he's going to line up as a slot. Okay. And if you hear the word rip, he's going to line up like a flanker. So we have rip wing, which is, I guess, in wing T terminology, maybe 100 or 900. Tight end right, wing right, split out left. And then if we have Ray, it's twins. If we have Rip, he's lined up a flanker, it's pro. Okay. And you'll see that here in a little while. I threw the numbers down there and I'll get to them when we get to one back. And then obviously, if you're a left halfback, the things are identical. So if it begins with an L, that's your cue, and you listen to the keys and tell you where to go. All right. Special calls, right or left. Whenever you hear the word right, so I could say right wing. I could say right rip wing, but why get the word rip in there when I know that it's a wing? So if I say right wing, that means the X, the Y, and the right H or Z are all on the same side, to the right, or if we call left, or on the left. Over talks to the tight end, and so it tells him to go opposite. So if we said Liz wing, he would be on the left. If we said over Liz wing, he's on the right. The word wide tells the X to line up at normal width, but it also tells the halfback. So if we were in wide Larry, that would tell the halfback or Z that is next to him. He's going to be one by one kind of stack relationship with him. The word squeeze brings those guys down into an 8-yard alignment from the last man on the line of scrimmage, also one by one. And then snug tells the X to line up, or whoever it is, 3 to 4 yards from the last man on the line of scrimmage. Okay. And we'll still be in a one by one relationship. Flex talks to the tight end, tells him to split 4 to 6 yards from the last man on the line. And then nasty tells the Y and the wingback next to him that they need to flip spots. All right. If I have two tight end sets, rather than give a totally different name, we use the same names, and you'll see. So you might hear Rip Wing, you might hear Ray Wing. It doesn't matter. The difference is if I said Rip Wing, which is tight end right, wing right, split end left. If it's two tights, it's tight end right, wing right, tight end left. Okay. Now, here's where we're looking at starting points. And so you have to give everybody a place to start. And for us, we started what was before the wing tee, which is the straight tee. That is our base. If we don't call anything other than a play, that's how we line up. Do we do it often? No. But there are years that we have run it, and we need to tell the kids, guys, this week we're running some base. And if we're running base, they need to know. I might just call, hey, right. And they know exactly what's going on. They know the formation. They know where to line up. The next step is if I give a call split. So in this case, if you look to the right side, split right. Okay. Split left. And then if I say the word split, we got both guys splitting out. Let's jump to two back. Here's where the rubber meets the road. So I'm going to play the right side in this situation. So if I say the word rip, the letter R talks to the right halfback. It tells him he's not going to be in the formation in the backfield. Rip is a pro set. So the right halfback's out here in a flanker. This is the one the tight end goes to the call. So he's here, and the split end goes opposite. That's just one rule. If I say the word Ray, the formation Ray, what we know is it tells again, R, right halfback, you're out of the backfield. But Ray tells him he's going to be in a slot here. The X goes to the call. Tight end goes away. Remember, it ends in the letter Y, so therefore the tight end lines up tight like a tight end. Now, if we use the formation rocks, it's like Ray. Okay, you can see these guys over here, but what ends up happening is now the tight end splits out because the letter or the formation ends in the letter X. All right. What this formation is over here, I have no idea. It is a mess up. It is actually ripped. So I'm going to jump over here. I just recognized that. Been doing this for years. And Liz wing. So Liz tells the tight end to line up to the call, tells the X to go opposite, tells the left halfback he's coming out of the backfield and going into a wing position. So more quickly, we're going back to the right. So Ray wing, the word Ray tells the right halfback he's out of the backfield. Normally he's lined up here, but we say Ray wing, and he lines up next to the last man on the line of scrimmage. Ray tells the tight end he's away, tight because of the word Y, the letter Y. We can use the word or the formation rocks wing. Rocks ends in X, so it splits the tight end out opposite. Again, X is split out here. The word wing brings the right half back in because we said rocks, it begins with R. It's pretty simple stuff. If I say right Ray, remember the word right tells Y, the H, and the X to all line up on the same side. So here, the right halfback's out. He's in the slot, Ray. Okay. Right tells everybody to be over. So you've got unbalanced wings. If I said the word right wing, this could be right rip wing, which is what we called it originally. And I said, why are we calling it rip wing? We don't have to. If we call it right wing, that means everybody's lined up to the right. We've got our tight end, we've got our X, and we've got our right halfback lined up in a wing. Now, when we use the tags that we've had to change the alignments, I've got them in different. So we can look over here. We use the word snug, okay, up on the left, snug, Larry wing. So Larry tells the tight end, again, ends in Y, you're going away, L, Y to the right, okay. And now what we have is these two guys here and Larry are normally outside wide. It'll be called snug. We at 3 yards, and we're going to bring them in a 1-by-1 relationship. We can call squeeze Ray. And you might be saying, why do we want to have these things? It doesn't matter. There's a lot of reasons why we do them. Don't have time to get into them now, but if you want to ask questions, send me emails. I can share those with you. So I'm going into a squeeze Ray set, 8 yards, wide receiver from the last man on the line of scrimmage, 1-by-1 here instead of splitting the difference. Ray ends in Y, begins with an R, right halfback's out. Y tells the tight end opposite tight. Again, the word nasty tells the tight end and wingback to switch spots. And then if I said flip should be flex. Can't even read. Flex, rip wing. So flex tells the tight end to flex out, and the wing's still here. So instead of that tight end being tight to the line and the wing outside, he's about 4 to 6 yards outside, depending upon our game plan and what we want to do. All right, some more two-back sets. Wide tells the X to line up normal alignment, approximately 12 yards. We have landmarks that tell us where to go, not necessarily yardage. But the word wide tells the left halfback in this case, because it's Larry, he's going to be 1-by-1 relationship here instead of splitting the difference. If we said over Liz wing, that is a call that talks to the tight end. Liz wing would put the tight end over here with the wing back outside. But we said the word over, which means, hey, you're going to line up opposite. So he's over here. Great setup if you want to run some jet quick pitch or jet sweep over here with a tight end side. It's also great if you want to run some midline. And believe it or not, running buck sweep back to the nub is a great play over here. Two tight sets. You've heard the word rip wing before. And here we are. Rip wing tells the tight end and the right halfback to line up like this. But because it's two tights, instead of him being an X out here, he's tight. He's going to line up like a tight end in any two type sets. We can run Ray wing. Ray would tell those two guys to be out here. But because it's tight end, they're going to bring those guys in here tight. And the tight end's going to be backside. Believe it or not, that one's the hardest one for everybody to ever understand. I can't figure it out. Left wing. So what we have is an unbalanced because we brought the tight end from over here to over there. It's kind of our jumbo set. This is a great formation to run out of. Now, well, there are several, but these don't really have anything to do with our numbering system. They were a unique way of us calling a formation. When you consider there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 man surface, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 man surface, it doesn't matter. But for some reason, when you line up in the top one and then do the bottom one, the defenses line up different. I haven't figured it out. But if I'm running right wing a good bit, I'm going to jump in Rhino or Leo just to see if they'll do something different. All right, here we go. One back. Here's our basic one back without giving you our number system. So for us, the word cats gives us a wing and a slot. We just call them wings just for simple purposes for our kids. I know the terminology is not. They don't know any different, so we call them wings. So if you ever hear the word cats in our system, that gives you two wings. The word right tells the tight end, the X, and the halfback to be on the safe side. But because in this case it's two tight one back, I've got both tight ends over here. I can call rhino cats. So right over here was right cats, rhino. They're all next to each other with the wing on the outside. I can call tight cats, which means you didn't hear a side, you didn't hear a direction, you didn't hear an L, you didn't hear an R. So we'll have one guy dedicated left, one guy dedicated right. So it's two tights with two wings. So it's double wing essentially. We can go Larry cats. So in this case, it's not too tight. It's just one back. So Larry tells the wing or the X to split out wide, but cats tells me to have two wings. I can have split cats. And again, we'll designate the wide out and the tight end, which side they're going to go. So they're both split, and we've got cats here. Double slot. Here's where things get a little fun. This is our spread and empty concepts. So if we go spread, for us, our spread was almost Auburn-esque. So what we'd have is a twins open concept with an H-back in the backfield. I put TE there. It doesn't matter. I started with it as my tight ends, and sometimes I've moved to guards, and sometimes I've moved to really athletic tackles. So depends on what you have back here. If we eliminate the tight end from here and we look at the formation, it is leg. Okay. I've got double X. So if you've got two really good wideouts, you can go double X in this situation. One would be left, one would be right, or you can say you go to the call, L or R. This back in the backfield, determined on where we want him, we call it A or B. So starting on the left is A, over here on the right is B. We're going to put him in the B gap, and we'll finagle his alignment depending on what we're running just a little bit from time to time. He knows where he needs to be for success. Our normal empty situations will always have two wings. And we're going to call them two wings. Not that they are, but again, for all intents and purposes, for what we're trying to teach our kids in simplistic way. So we will always have two wings. So we don't count them in our formation. One guy's always left, one guy's always right, period. We're also, remember, no huddle. So if I call Ray, again, we're not talking about this halfback and this halfback. This guy, essentially, we tag him as Z. So he always goes to the call. In this case, we say Ray, which is twins. Twins right, tight end left. It ends in a Y, so the tight end is left. Forget about it. It's Ray, so we don't have to change anything. Kids know how to line up, and it's pretty simple to get in and out of. If we want to run rocks, forget about the wings. X's are split, hence the letter X. It ends in X, rocks. So we have two splits, and we have twins. So it's twins open, and those two backs here. If I want to get into a bunt set, I'm just going to call snug Ray. Snug brings these guys down tight. And now what you've got is this little snug set over here with a tight end and halfback over there. Next thing, numbering system. For me, I like to be able to give our kids numbers if we're in a one back set that doesn't have cats. And we haven't seen that yet. So what we want to do is give them a numbering system that allows them to be in a specific spot. If you look to the right, we're evens, and our prefixes for all the plays that go to the right start with an even number. So in this case, we're going to say if you are a 6, you will always line up, okay, in a wing or slot. You're always going to line up next to the last man on a line of scrimmage. Pretty simple. Sometimes it's going to be off a tight end. Sometimes it's going to be off a tackle. If you're 8 or 9, well, I said 6, but it's at 6 or 7. 8 or 9, 8 or 9 always makes you number 2. Doesn't matter what the formation is, you will always be a number 2 receiver. And if your number gives you a 10 or 11, you will end up as the number 1 receiver. And I know right now it probably makes no sense to you, so let's take a look at what we're talking about. Again, look at the words rip. We haven't changed anything. So rip means pro. So this situation, I have R. Rip talks to who? Talks to the right halfback. It tells him he's going to the right. The difference is he hears 10. So the left halfback comes out of the backfield. He goes to the number 1 spot, and the right halfback goes to this spot. If I called rip 8, the only difference in the formation is these two gentlemen are switched. And if you remember what I was telling you about against Roswell, that's all I did. I went from a rip 10 to a rip 8. Okay. So real quickly, real simply, defenses don't know it. All I know is it's the same formation. If I look over here, I say rip 6. So again, rip means pro. Tight end's right. Talking to the right halfback. So he's going to line up in a rip set. The left halfback hears the word 6, and he's going to line up in a 6, which is in a wing off the last man on the line of scrimmage. Rocks 7. Rocks. Rocks is twins open. Ends in X. So we're splitting this guy out. Twins. Right halfback, R. You are in the rock set. Left halfback, 7. You're going to be off the last man on the line of scrimmage in like a wing set. Now I can come over here just for all intents and purposes so you know that if I say the word Larry, that's twins left, tight end right. Larry. So L talks to the left halfback. You're in a Larry set. 6 talks to the right halfback. You're in a 6. You're off the last man on the line of scrimmage. I can get deeper, hundreds and hundreds of formations, okay? But that's just the premise. If you have questions, email me, rtdbvideo@gmail.com. We've got a lot of different motions. We use a lot of jet motion. We haven't used rocket in a while. I needed it for some kids we had several years ago, but essentially you have to understand the word jet is a plane. So what I wanted to do instead of word jet right, jet left, jet sweep right, jet sweep left, I wanted to simplify it. So there are 2 types of jets we wanted to hear about. Raptor, which is a type of jet, which would be jet sweep right. Lear is a type of jet, so it's jet sweep left. So it's pretty simple. Rather than come up with crazier words, if I use the word Raptor and nothing after that, so I might just call Larry Raptor. And what will end up happening is we're running jet sweep right. But if I want to run a complementary play off of it, I might say Larry Raptor trap right. So if I have the motion with a play, we're running the play. We're not running the motion. We're not running the jet. And sometimes you have kids from year to year that, Coach, I thought it was jet sweep. And it's like, dude, no. Jet was the motion. Trap was the play. And if we were to run rocket, to go to the right, it's rocket, launches to the left. We couldn't come up with anything but rocket right, launch left. If I want to motion my personnel, a specific player to a specific spot, we use the same numbering system, but now the difference is we tag things. So in this situation here, the formation is rocks 7, right? Wins right, split left, ends in an X, so the tight end split out. So it's rocks, and you see the left halfback over here in a 7 spot. If I want to motion him to the number 2 place, I'm just going to say formation, rock 7, motion, L8. Quarterback points, and he motions them to where he needs to be. It's pretty simple. And then I can call the play off. In this case, I want to call 62 flood. Okay, sprint out right with a flood concept. Pretty simple. And the nice thing is I can motion anybody. If I want to motion an X, a lot of these people step the guy on, step the guy off. No. If that X is going in motion, he's just got to look at the guy inside of him and tell him to get on the ball because he's coming off. It's a really simple concept. And you've got to allow your kids to have the brains to figure it out. So you're not constantly having to make some type of motion and things to get one guy on, one guy off, and then motion. Comes out quicker. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it. But for me, this is easy. I can motion a guy out of the backfield. The formation is Lex, right? Twins left, again, ends in X, and then it's split out. And if I say Lex and I'm saying R, which means right halfback, I'm going to motion you to the 7 spot. So in this case, Lex, R7, 63 smash. So I'm running sprint out with a smash concept over here. I can still run running plays, but point is, I'm just giving you some examples here. All right. That is it, guys. That is how we go ahead and give you formations. If you want to ask me any questions, feel free. Shoot me an email. DM me in my at Coach Bishop 1 in Twitter. But if you're listening to this, hear me. Please subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. I don't care if you hit the like button. If you got questions, you want to put them in the comments. I try to get back to them. Most people want to go ahead and say, hey, how can I do this? And I send you my email. Again, Coach Bishop at Coach Bishop 1 is Twitter. The email is no longer Coach Bishop at CoachBoard.com. It is rtdbvideo@gmail.com. So until next week, hey, RTDB.